Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Please let me know in the comments down below. I love hearing from you. Last night, I had a wonderful, amazing playtest session where we playtested Utilities Project. That is slowly becoming the name of this game. I was just calling it the Utilities game for a while, but I've just kept calling it Utilities Project, and it seems to have kind of stuck. I don't expect that if I found a publisher, we would keep this theme. But the theme works because I can draw the art. Anyway, we had a playtest session. I was hoping to play this and the train game, but we didn't get to the train game, so I think Em and I are going to play it today. But we started with this. Well, no, we actually started with food. I feed friends when they come over. That's just a rule. So I made steak tacos in the slow cooker, and they were amazing. Anyway, we started a game of this. Did a 3-player game, and it went really well. There's a particular thing about this game that still bothers me, but I don't think it's an issue. It's just a personal issue, and that is that it's the kind of game that instead of making minor incremental advancements, you make large leaps, and so the game snowballs pretty quickly. Early on, you can jump ahead of everybody else and kind of snowball, and that can be a little bit unnerving at first, but I think it actually works out really well because it makes the game compact. So we played 3-player. We played with a bunch of new ideas. In fact, one new idea. Well, this isn't new, but it's something that it's something I threw together right before friends came over. Was objectives. I made some minor little objectives. They're only worth like 3-4 points, which in a, I think, 80-ish point game, this doesn't have a huge impact, but it at least gives a small directive early on. Like, well, okay, this card wants me to connect a couple types of projects, and it's worth 5 points. Maybe I'll just start kind of working towards that. Or maybe I'll base my initial placement on the cards that I get. So I added these. I changed a few mechanisms as a test, and I actually ended up keeping them because I really liked them. In the old version, let me give you an example of how this works. In the old version, I have this influence track, and as you gain influence in each of the 4 laborer types, we have builders, electricians, pipe fitters, or fitters, and plumbers. As you gain influence, this determines how many cards you draw. So if you were able to get your influences all the way up for all 4 categories, you'd be drawing 12 cards a turn. And that can become a bit overwhelming, especially considering that there are freebies. There's these tokens. There's 3 of each, and you can buy these. And these act like cards that just reset every turn. So if I have this guy, I get a free electrician every turn. So you could have 16, 18 cards a turn, or resources a turn to spend, and it gets a little bit screwy. So I wanted to, and in the old version, it was you could draw as many as you wanted, and but before you drew, you had to discard down to 4 cards. So there was very little ability to carry over any kind of strategy to the following turn, and you were basically just at the whim of whatever you drew, because essentially every turn you would try to play as much as you possibly could to try to get a better hand, so that you would not have to discard cards. You don't want to lose cards. Well, in this version, I decided that I would make the hand limit 12, and you would draw a maximum of 6 cards. So regardless of, if you had all 3 of these built up to where you would be drawing the 12 cards, you only get to draw 6. So you have to choose. Like, I'm going to draw 2 builders, I'm going to draw an electrician, I'm going to draw 2 pipe fitters, and I'm going to draw 1 plumber, or whatever. And that, I was worried when I first implemented it. I thought it would add like a different, I thought it would add a I thought that making that another decision point would slow the game down, but it really didn't. I think it really, if anything, it shines a spotlight on the decks of cards. I don't know if we've ever talked about these decks of cards, but the way the game works out, those influences determine which cards you draw, and the cards come from decks, and there's one deck for each type of laborer. This is an electrician's deck. The electrician's deck is not made up of just electricians. There are also builders and plumbers in here. So when you're drawing these, you might not be getting electricians. You might get other things. And now that decision of which 6 cards to draw, it matters a lot more, which I think is actually an interesting little decision that seemed to work out. Not only did it work out because it gave you a little bit of influence over your turns, it also gave you the ability to kind of carry more forward, which was a good thing. We changed up some cost to some things, we changed up the point value of some things, and then we tested. Played the first game. My friend Jeff said to me, I think this is the best prototype I've ever played. He was really into it, and he said, I want to play it again. And so I was like, you mean, like, okay, well, let's make these changes. And he's like, no, I want to play it again now. And so we did. We played it again. And I think the second game was like right around 75 minutes. It was a pretty quick game. And it worked really, really well. We made some tweaks on the spot. Drew on the board, drew on the player aids, mapped some stuff out, tried it again, and I think it's really solid. I'm really super happy with it. So it was just a wonderful evening of playtesting. I said yesterday that it's very rare that I am happy with my own work. But I actually really enjoyed playing. I think I came in last in both games. Maybe that's not true. But I feel like I came in last in both games. Doesn't matter. I don't need to win. But I had a really good time playing. I had fun making interesting decisions. And this is a kind of game, it's pretty abstract, right? There is a theme, and thematically the things that you're doing make sense to the theme. But that theme is a pretty abstract theme. You're just building pipelines, or you're laying cable or whatever. So it's kind of already a pretty abstract idea to think about. But, and it's dudes on a map, area control / route building. So it could just be marbles on a board, and it would be just as fine. And the interesting part about it for me is that even though there is a pretty, I don't want to say it's a pasted on theme, but even though it's not a heavily thematic game, it's not telling a story, I still felt like I was making really interesting decisions and having a really good time trying to outplay my friends. There is some cutthroatness to it. There is some, outmaneuvering, and I think all of that works well together in a not necessarily perfect information game. The hand of cards is definitely not perfect, but everything else is. You get to see, you know everybody's points, all the abilities everybody has unlocked. It's all out there. It felt really good. It was a really good night of playtesting. So I woke up early this morning. I worked on this before work. I worked on it at lunch, and I got all the new graphic design done, and I've gone ahead and I've gone ahead and ordered a new printing from the Game Crafter. It cost me like $70 because I got, instead of the 4-fold board, I got a 6-fold board, which is significantly bigger, but I had a bunch of little sideboards and a victory point track. All that will get combined into one big board. And then I reordered all the decks because I didn't have enough cards. I needed the decks to be a little bit bigger, and I added some extra contextual information to them. So that was a big order, and I'm hoping that I didn't make any mistakes, but it is just a prototype, and the reason I want to order it now is the Game Crafter starts to get backed up near convention season because a whole bunch of designers like me are trying to get their products pitch ready, and I'm one of them. So I wanted to have this one for sure at Gen Con with me to show to publishers and hopefully find it a home. That'd be awesome, right? So I can put this aside for now. I've done all the updates. I've ordered the components. Once they come in, I'll play test it at game night. And I'm back to the train game. I think Em and I are going to play it hopefully a couple of times tonight. And once I've got that to a point where I feel comfortable enough to order it, I will order it. And then I'm back to Hedeby, and I'm going to try really hard to get it ready for Gen Con. I honestly, at this point, don't know if I can pull that off, but I think it's close. I think I really just need to... I think that what I have currently in the spreadsheet is enough. I just want to add like maybe 10 more cards. I need to figure out some names and adjust some values, and then I can start laying all that out and getting it ready to go. So that's going to be a big project too, but I feel like it's pretty close. Oh, yesterday I said something about rule books. Some of you reached out to me in various ways. I'm not really willing to share rule books on a public forum at this point. So if you are interested in reading my rules, please find my email in the description of this video. I'll also put it in the top comment, and email me, and we can have a discussion over email about letting you read my rules. Just not quite ready to share it publicly yet. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again on Monday. Today's word you should know to sound smart is habitude, is a noun meaning customary behavior or customary procedure. Alistar's habitude is for the servants to awake him just prior to noon. Habitude, H-A-B-I-T-U-D-E. Like a habit, attitude, a habitude? I really like that. A customary behavior or customary procedure. It is my habitude to take my medication as soon as I wake up, whatever time of the day that is.